All right, guys, so today we're working on the 540. The 540 has a couple minor issues. Now, I'll try to explain to you real quick here what's going on. I'm going to pick this up. Philip's not here today, it's Saturday. So I'm doing all the cam work all by myself. I know you're all like, oh my God. So this thing runs and starts beautifully. There's no noise at all. There's two things. It had an oil leak. I'm looking around here. Everything's all miscombobulated. It had an oil leak out of this side from somewhere towards the top. I hope it's not the lower timing chain cover. And I asked the owner if you put a gasket sealer on it. He said he didn't think so. And then whether he put any gases on it, he said he thinks so, but it was all very unclear. It looks like it's not, per se, leaking out of there. However, I did notice one thing. The front main seal is pinched. We're going to replace that today. This is a hose that goes in behind the crank pulley that sits like this. And let me go over and grab the one he had done. And he said there was a hose back there he had to rig up. The hose he rigged up is right here. And so we have a brand new one for that. Hose clamp, this kind of split, a little out of whack. Probably with a proper hose clamp and proper trimming, that would have been okay. But it was like $14 or $20 for the new hose, I don't remember. And we decided to go ahead and do that. That way there's no issue at all. Look how overexposed that is. We're going to have to solve that because I bet Philip set the camera differently. But anyhow, let's get this thing up in the air. Let me try to get you in there to show you what we're looking at. Okay, so let's get you up in here. As you can see here on the old camera, and down a little bit, right there, no, up a little bit, is the front main seal. And of course it's not focused on it. Why would it be, right? Why would it be? And you can see how oily this thing actually is up in there. There you go. There you go. Maybe. You can see it's leaking. Now, where we're leaking at over here, where I'm concerned about, is right here on the side. All right? So we're on the bottom of the engine. Oh, the screen's flipped? Oh, sweet. We're on the bottom of the engine right here, and it's running down the side. It's almost too far back to be out of the lower chain cover, which is down here. Now, keep in mind, if we have to take the lower chain cover back off, we got to take both valve covers off. We got to take both upper timing chain covers off, the alternator out, the power steering pump out. We got to take, I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see. We're going to have to take the AC compressor off, the lower oil pan off. There's a whole array of bolts here and there and there and here to get to that. So we're really hoping that's not it. It does not leak when it's running. It only leaks when the engine is off. So there is that. The other thing is we have not put any coolant in this car at all since it's been here. So we don't know what else to expect as far as coolant leak issues. So what we're going to do right now is replace this front main seal, put the balancer back on, put the hose back on. Before we put coolant in it, we'll start it up and see if we can diagnose that leak real quick. We can only run it for a few minutes since we don't have coolant in it, but I don't want to put coolant in it if we got to pull it all back apart. All right. Hopefully that stays focused. Oh, it's already not focused? Oh, even better. Even better. There you go. So we're going to take our little impact and take a screw. We're going to essentially go up in here, run the screw into the seal. Perhaps. Okay. Like a bunch of crap down my hair. That's sweet. Then we're going to take, you're just saying, Fatty, how are you going to get that out of there? I can't believe you're this stupid. I hear it all the time. Oddly enough, I'm not stupid. Well, all right, I hope this thing stays focused. All we got here is the old Allen key. It's just barely enough. Hook that under there, and we should be able to drop it, not get it out. You get the idea what we're doing here. I'm gonna try to hold her in there. And see how it's pulling the seal out? There we go. There we go. There we go. And then what we're going to do here, a little bit of that action. Look at the crack in that bumper. And essentially, our screw is stuck in our seal. I forgot this camera. I got to hold it back. There we go. We're going to clean that. We're going to put the new one in. Now, there's a lot of different stipulation. People do different things with these. Some people put a little bit of oil around this, and a lot of people put gasket sealer around the outside of this as lubricant, so when it goes in there, it can never leak. I don't think there's really that big of a cause for that. We'll probably put just a little bit of that pre-lube stuff we got around it and pop it in like that. Oh, real quick here. You can see the damage on this guy. Jesus. It's like the first time we ever made a video, isn't it? So he had it pinched when he put it in there. You can see right here how it's pinched. All right. Maybe you can see that. Then you can see it's deteriorated all around there. It's just like totally gone. Really hoping this is what our problem is. We're going to get the little mirror out and look up in there and make sure. Okay, so first things first, get the rag up in there. Let's wipe all that out and all that right below it so we can see what's leaking. We put the new one in. There's a little drop of coolant up here, but I think it's from the hose we took off right above it because it was not like that before, hopefully. Hopefully. Then we're going to take our little tube of lube all. It's upside down, I know, so sue me. Lube all. And then we're going to, oh, why would you not go back and focus? Why would you not, huh? All right? There you go. We're going to put a little bit on the outside of this thing. We're going to push it in there just to get it started. And then what we're going to have to do is tap it in. So we'll take our finger. We're essentially just taking our finger, putting a little bit around the outside of it. A very tiny amount. Make sure that open area does go in. Let's just push it up in there and get it started. Oh no. My gloves in it, boys, my gloves in it. There we go. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here to put this in, we're going to get, let's just use a socket and a hammer that's not completely absurd. We'll use our old rubber mallet here. So you could use the old seal if you want. You could use whatever you want. I'm not being judgy. We're use a socket, we use the back of the socket or rubber mallet, and it shouldn't take much to tap that in essentially. And if it wants to come out on opposite sides, you can take the old seal. Ideally, if you have a socket the size of that, which we actually might have that, the size of the whole damn seal, that's best. We do have a socket the whole size of that. But whether it fits with a hub or not, that's another story. There we go. It's such an awkward spot to hit. Let's push it in there perfectly. We don't want to go too far on the bottom. The top needs to go just a hair. Let's tap that in just a little bit. You never want to use anything sharp doing this. Always just simple. Tools. Okay. We're flat all the way around. Maybe one more little tap. Ow. The best way to do is take your fingers to feel. Is it all the way in, all the way around? Yes, it is. Now, one thing we did not do, I should have done, well, I did a little bit, is lube the inside where it touches the crank, but I had my greasy little fingers all over it when I put the lube ball on it. But we should have done that. Everything went on perfectly. If you had, depends on what brand seal you get, it might be a little more difficult to put on. So, let's zip on the crank still in the pin. Let's put on our hose, and let's put on our crank pulley. Let's see what we got here. Let's go like this. We got our hose here. I put a little bit of lube ball on the end. On this end too, on the O-ring. This is going to push in up here behind this. Mock it up first here to make sure it's right. I can take my finger back there and I can feel where it's supposed to go. So we're going to guide that down in there and get it close. Okay. That's up there. This is up here. Okay. There's that. Then we got to put our 10 mil bolt in that right there. And our crank hub has a pretty long nose on it. All right, pretty long nose on it. So it'll clear that line and never touch that line, in theory. But we're gonna put the bolt in first, so we don't have any issues. We'll be right back. Okay, so we just stuck it back on there. I lubed up the hub a little bit so it slides on easily. We just put it close to the key, shuffle it back and forth until it locked in. Nothing to it. Drop the socket on the floor. This is we're using a 1/1/16. When you get this big, it doesn't freaking matter. I don't have a metric big enough in a 1/2 inch drive. It's only a 1 inch drive. By the time you put all that on there, it won't fit. So there is that. I snug it down by hand. The big breaker bar. This is what, a 2-foot breaker bar, I believe. This thing from the factory is like insanely tight. It does not have to be that tight ever. That is absurd why they did that. Because it has a keyway, so like what are they even doing, right? I'm just gonna give her the old one of those. And then one more, and that's good. Like I said, the crank pin is in. Okay, that's more than enough. She's more than enough, boys. More than enough. And then while we're cranking this, we're gonna go back here. Turn that just a little bit. That releases our crank pin. This is done. You can see a breaker bar and like a 2-inch extension is perfect for that. Crank pin goes back in the timing toolbox. If not, its fate may be unknown. Okay, so we're gonna have to start her back up. So let's let it back down to start with. See if we can figure this out. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is get her a little mirror on a stick. We're gonna get our Makita light, and we're gonna take a little look-see down here and see if this nonsense is leaking out of the valve cover or if there's an oil line problem. Okay. Kind of like the dentist looking around. At your chicklets. All right. Proctologist, maybe. I don't see anything leaking up here at all. Just kind of looking to make sure everything above that lower case is good. Interesting. Interesting. Let's just take our ratchet in here and our deep tin. Just kind of make sure I did my part on all this stuff. I just covered all the possibilities. All that's all good. And like I said, it's about right here is where she's leaking. Now there is lines going to the oil filter housing, and those lines do go down to the car, but I think it'd be leaking high pressure as that is. See how nasty they look? That one does. You think high pressure just be pouring out everywhere. I mean everywhere. Let's clear all this stuff on top. Let's start it up and see what we got, I guess. First things first. Check the dirty oil here. That is good. Let's just be super cautious here and let's wipe it off and put it back in. I'm not sure. That dipstick seems a little bit loose. It's got the bolt in it. So I'm not sure what it's bitching about. Let's just do the add mark right now. Let's cold start this thing. It has not been started in what, 2 or 3 days? So let's do it to it. Go back here. Alright, battery's on, battery's good. That's up on the lip. It might sound a lot louder than it actually is, but it should be fun. Nothing at all leaking right now. We can run this for maybe 2 minutes and that's going to be it. Absolutely zero leaks. Cover light. Our camera, we have no drips at all. It just seemed like it took a little bit for it to start. This has Chevy power steering fluid in it, which is the wrong stuff. But I think it was too thick for that. I don't think it was power steering fluid at all. Interesting. Tranny lines are right here also. Could have been some nasty transmission fluid? I don't think so. Nothing at all. Totally bone dry. Interesting. Okay, so this thing. You can see there's something dripping on the floor, and that, my friends, is coolant. So the good news is I don't think it's leaking oil. I think the oil is probably just pulled up on something. We pull up on the lift. It was tilted down just a smidge, and it was on a ledge or something leaked off. I don't see any of that now. We ran it longer on film a while ago, and we have pretty much any of the time here. But the coolant leak, where is the coolant coming from? Well, my friends, it is coming from over here behind the water pump. It's got my little mirror out, extendable mirror. I'm guessing he had the water pump off of this. I just texted him. I don't know. It is leaking from the gasket on the water pump. Luckily, I only put less than a half a gallon in. It was very, very diluted antifreeze, so we didn't lose anything on there. But it just pours out in a straight stream. So there is that. I guess I want him to text back and see what we got to do here. However, we probably should, if we got to pull the water pump off, we could do it without taking the intake manifold off. We should take the intake manifold off and reseal all the pipes and everything. I don't know. There is that. We'll be back. Okay, so we talked to the owner of the car. He did have the water pump off. He did not put sealer on it. So we're going to have to do more than likely. Let's get you guys in here real quick. More than likely, what we're going to have to do is take off everything we just put on. I'll pull the light over first. We're going to have to take the main belt off. I think we have to take the crank pulley back off, which is sweet. I just don't really remember. It's been so long. I think there was a bolt or a tab on the water pump that won't let that come off. We're going to have to take... No, we're going to take off the upper hose, the lower hose. We're going to take off the cross pipe for the secondary air. Obviously, I think the water pump pulley has to come off so we get to all the bolts. The hose behind we just put on, we got to take that back off. I got to take this off like so. Stick that up there. We're going to take this off. So pretty much everything back off to reseal the water pump. So in that factor, we still got half of the tools out here. We're just going to take off. Where's it at here, boys? Where's it at? Right here. Make sure I turn the mic on. Oh, we did turn the mic on. That's always good. Is this thing going to leak everywhere? Probably. Probably so. It's just kind of one of those deals where if I don't take everything apart to start, it makes everything a lot more difficult. Jeez, boys. I'll show you here just how fast it is. We're going to get our little hook. I'm just going to hook this in here, pop that up. Let's throw this off to the side. This shop has got so much stuff in it. It's just like gone to annoying to now just flat out scary. There was water in that. We're going to take a 13 mil. How these tensioners work. There's two bolts. There's one here. There's one here. That'll release it. Then tension it. There's a 17 head right there. You go over that and hog it down. Let's throw that over here. So we're halfway there, I guess. All right. It's going to be a 10-hour long video. Well, at this rate, probably so. The nice thing about it is you guys will definitely know how to take all this crap apart. That's for sure. we're going to have to totally take off. The star of the show really isn't the key to power ratchet. That really does take a lot of time out of things. Can we get in there in less than 10 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, sure can. That was never tightened up because we never got that far. I'll pull this off. Airbox 3, 4. Mass airflow. And then we got our bolt down here. This on. Tire this to the old workbench. This is going to have a little bit of cool in it, more than likely. So put our bucket under there. Go down here, unplug lower radiator sensor. Pop those back down. Nope, no coolant. Pop that back down too. Pull that up, put that up there, and then we are ready to pull this other side off. Secondary air hose comes off, vacuum line comes off. That's off. Moving right along, boys, moving right along. Secondary air pipe is off. That disposes all this. Lose this extension. Ooh. Anyhow. If we were at the dealership right now, what we just took off will be about $1,000 worth to get you this far, boys. At least. There's water in there. So let me see here. I don't remember exactly what the deal was with this water pump, if we had to take that pulley off or not. It's not that big of a deal if we do. Let's just see how far we get here. Without doing that first, let's just hook this here like that. Put that down in there. Remember how this damn thing come out. Where's our ratchet? Let's start going at this. Maybe like a medium extension, 2 inches, 3-inch extension. Before we go any further, we're gonna grab our, oh, it's leaking on the floor. Oh, I love that. Got our pan down there just in case. Good thing we had it. Okay, next we got to pull the whole entire pulley system off. That's a 17, boys. Need a 13. Oh, we got it out somewhere. Oh, sweet. We could take both those off. How the hell with it? We'll take this off here. You can take it off at the little shock, or you take it off the main bolts. Well, let's take it off right here. Oh, I can't. I'm gonna have to go in here. This guy, this is our T50. I'm gonna pull this upper pulley. That. There's the whole works right there, boys. Set that off to the side. Let's go back to our 10 mil. Let's keep taking bolts out around here. Okay. That's all loose up there. That's all good. Is there another one right there? Yes, sir, there is. Then, if I remember right, like I said, I believe there's one. There's one on the bottom. I think there's one on the very bottom. Right above the damn pulley. Yes, sir, there is. Can we get that off? No. Do we have to take everything off? No, I think we use a ratchet wrench and get it off of there with that. Oh, my bad, knocked off the top. Lefty loosey. We gotta take the pulley off, because even if I can't get that off there, we're not gonna be able to get it back in there without messing up the silicone. So let's jack it back up in there, drop the pin in the crank, take the AC belt off, take the main crank pulley off. We'll be right back. You can see here, let me try to get the right light up in here like this. So just to show you what I'm talking about, you can see right here there was a bolt. You can see the water leaking out of the gasket on the pump. Right there, dripping down. So let's lower it back down, and we'll keep going down. All the bolts should be out of the pump at this point. Okay. So let's just see what we got here. Oh. Oh. Oh, buddy, come on. Come on now. No new gasket, no gasket sealer. Big grip right there. You have to understand something. The owner is by no means a mechanic. Probably his very first big job. And you just don't know. So what we're going to do here, we're going to scrape all this gasket sealer off. I might have a gasket for this. If not, we'll use the Right Stuff gasket sealer. Where the hell is it at? There's the antifreeze over my workbench. The Right Stuff. Gotta look at the camera since Philip's not here. Maybe. Can't even. There you go. The Right Stuff. This is really nice stuff, and it will 100% seal all that. Now, the next thing we got to do There we go. This has O-rings that go on this pipe. Both these pipes have this. However, that one's still stuck in there. However, the O-ring is stuck in the very back, so we cannot replace it. We cannot reach it or nothing. It's to pull the whole intake manifold off. Do I want to do that? No. I'd rather have you stab me in the eye with this piece of pipe and pull the intake manifold off of this engine right now. I'm going to have to try to get my little mirror or something, or maybe the scope, and look back in there and make sure the O-rings are all good. And then usually what I have to do when I put these back in, I'll put a little bit of the right, so we'll clean all this, put a little bit of the right stuff around there, and use that sealer as a lubricant to push it back in there. That's just going to guarantee these are never going to leak. Even if you replace the O-rings, that does not guarantee anything. You can see here in the pump, the O-rings are actually stuck in the pump. And they look really, really, really good. And so yeah, I think we're just a gasket failure. I'm surprised it just wasn't, well, it was dumping out, to be honest. And is the pump new? What's the date on the pump? Oh, I can't quite see her, boys. Casting's a little bit too rough to see the little circle with the date in it. Here we go. 05. The thermostat's at 05. 2005. That should all be replaced. That's not new. That should all be replaced. But there's no bearing issue. Oh, I dripped out my shoe. There's no bearing issue at all. The car's not overheating. It's not acting weird. We're going to put this back in for right now and leave it up to the owner to do this. Okay, so we resealed the pipes, push the ends back in there. We got a little of the right stuff on here. Pull some of the dust off of that. And what we're going to do is just put this back down in here. We're going to slip those in there all in one go. Make sure we're clocked right from the start. Right there. Come on. There's a peg back there. It's making it a real bitch to put on. Is that it? That's it. That's it, boys. There's several different size bolts here. We just got to check and see which is what. And reassemble. The camera's dead, so we're going to turn you guys off. Okay, so it's actually going pretty fast. My phone off of there. We had looked at the belt diagram again because I can't remember anything. Oh, that's all done. Let me go down. Let me see. What was the deal with this? Thing's funky. Goes like that. And that's going to have to go over that. Everything gets fed in here just a certain way. And if you do anything wrong, things that get into the belts cause a big issue. Mass destruction, otherwise known as. That's going to go here. Go here. You see what I'm doing when I put these hoses on? These are already pre-greased, and we grease the O-rings in them. When you push them on, you pop the bells down, and then essentially they go around and they click. And when they click, you know it's locked, right? That's all on there. This is popped out of the holder. Fix that. That's our bolt for the air box. We got all the lines out of the way. Everything's plugged in. We're going to have to tuck those under there. And then, let me see. All that's done. Did I take the crank pin out? Yes, I did. Make 110% sure. The crank pulley is all torqued. That's all done. Now we need our air box. Goes right here. Our mass airflow. And then we need to get 10 mil an extension. Snug that up. Three and four snaps. 4 snaps, get in there. There it is. Get our wire out of there. Everything's a super snug fit. At that point in time, we need to get our screwdriver, snug this, and then we're going to start putting some coolant in it. Okay, now what the hell we do with the coolant? It's right here. This is pretty much straight water. There was a little trickle of it in the bottom. Get it one more once over. Gotta take our bleed screw out once you go too far with this. Let that set for a few minutes here, let it drain out. We'll finish filling it. Okay. So let's back you guys up here a little bit. Get a little wider shot of it. This lens is pretty close. It's all the way zoomed out. We're ready to start. Let me go throw the dirty old battery negative post back on. We'll always unplug that working up here because that is hot and there's no cap on it. And this thing is ready to start. We start up, turn the heater on. And to make sure we don't get any air in the heater core, it should not be ideal. Okay, oh, bang my head on the trunk real quick. The trunk shocks in this thing and the hood shocks are getting questionable. And I bet as soon as the weather gets cooler, they will not hold. They'll fall down. In fact, last night, I was sitting in front of the computer, heard a big crash out here, and the hood fell down all by itself. So there is that. The key's in this thing or what? Yes. Turn the key on. Let's turn the heater. Is already on max. Got a little coolant on the belt. Maybe. What the hell? What the hell's going on? Jesus. Might have to tighten that a little bit more, but it was pretty damn tight. What we got here? Still good up here. No leaks so far. Put a little bit more coolant in it. We're going to lift it up in there and look underneath of it. And we need to temporarily tape up that secondary air pump hose where it rubbed through. But before we do all that, let's lift her up here. All right, boy, she's purring like a kitten. Let's get her a little Makita battery light. Let's take a little look-see. Let me grab I know better than touch anything with no glove on. Just get my hand all black, and then we go do MRE videos, and it's a problem. That's why you always see me wearing gloves, and we get these cheap gloves so we can just throw them away constantly. Okay, get a rag. Let's do a little wipey wipe. Just take a look. This thing is absolutely so quiet. I think that rattling noise before is the water pump not having any water in it. We're still rubbing up here on the secondary air hose. We're gonna have to fix that. Do something with it. Wipe this real good in here and make sure there's nothing else dripping through. So far, so good. All right, let's give her a good 5 minutes. Okay, been a good 5 minutes. We can let down and check the temperatures. There is not one drop of anything anywhere on this whole entire car. Not one drop on the ground, not one drop runoff anywhere in here. I went through before we did this, just kind of wiped off, or you see me do, wipe off all the old oil and the antifreeze. This thing is running so quiet. My microphone's literally a foot from this engine on my shirt. I don't know how it sounds on there, but on here it sounds perfect. Let it down, turn it off, recheck everything, check the belt tension, and check the coolant. Let's give her a little throttle, make sure everything's smooth before we turn it off. No check engine light, everything's good, everything's quiet. Oh man. Hitting it real super quick, it's a little bit hesitant. But I think overall it's really good. Keep in mind the fuel in this thing is old as freaking dirt. Temperature's all good, not quite the halfway mark. That's all done. Keys are out. Over here, walk in front of the camera. And I don't hear nothing dripping. I don't see anything dripping. Well, you guys are going to ask, what do you spray on the belt to make it stop squealing? Water is all it was. So we just need to go in here now. The belt's nice and tight. I don't know why it was squealing. I don't know. So what we're going to do here now is, it's currently Sunday. Philip's not here today. Tomorrow when he gets here, when he shows up for work, we're going to tell him we need to go drive this car. I don't want to drive it myself. I want to make sure he's behind me in another vehicle just in case things take a wrong turn. Where we're at down here, my cell phone doesn't always work, but that's it. This car is back together. Now, we did not put any of the engine covers or anything on it. We actually may not. We might let him do that. And especially the radiator shroud. I don't like running those like ever, because if you have a problem, you can't work on it. I'm going to tell him definitely leave this shroud off until we know for sure everything's working right. Also, what we need to do for him before we let it out of here, we need to make sure the cooling fan in the front, electric fan, is running. Because if it's not, this car will melt down on the side of the road. We also do not have the coil pack covers on. That's the same thing. You never want to put any more back together here unless you're 100% sure you're good. And this thing, we're not going to be sure to put some more miles on it. But guys, really, that's going to be it for today's video. It goes to show you on these BMWs, you got to be 100% committed. 100%. When I sold the M5, this is the guy that bought the M5. When I sold the M5 to him, and he said this was broken, he told me what the problem was. I was like, oh my God. I agreed to take it on for him because I knew deep down if I did not fix this for this guy, this car was going to scrap or going to parts. Period. There was nobody else going to do that job and take that much time with it. What are we going to charge for a job like this? What am I going to charge him for a job like this? Probably nothing, to be totally honest with you, because I don't care. I don't do this for a living anymore. It's just not my deal at all. If you want one of these done, I don't want to do it. Can I do it? Yes. I'm sorry, but I don't want to do it anymore. If I do this ever again, it's going to be for myself. And that's it. Glad I worked out, guys. I'll see you back very soon with another video. See y'all later.